All right, Jordan, this Saturday is both Senior Day and Military Appreciation Day, both big days in Clemson, South Carolina. They do big celebrations for both of these things. All the seniors will come down the hill one by one. They will run down Dabo Sweeney. Their family will be down there. There'll be a big plaque with their jersey and their name. And it'll be a very emotional day in that way for all of the seniors on Clemson's roster, all the guys that will be leaving at the conclusion of this 2024 season. It's also Military Appreciation Day, one of my favorite days, not only because it's honoring the military, but I love when we break out the all-purple unis. It's always great when we get to do that. It's fun. So just a quick mention of the seniors that we know are leaving at the end of this year. Tyler Venables, R.J. Mickens, Barrett Carter, Peyton Page, Phil Maffa, Jake Brenningstool, Marcus Tate. What are your thoughts on all of these seniors and what they've meant to the Clemson program, and how excited are you just to kind of watch the festivities as they unfold for Senior Day in Death Valley? And not to mention, we're playing the Citadel, Military College of South Carolina, on Military Appreciation Day. So really cool day coming up this Saturday in the Valley.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Anyone who's ever been to Clemson for any period of time knows how big the military is in the history of the school. Started out as a military college and an agricultural school. So it's massive. You mentioned the seniors for Senior Day. This is a pretty talented crop that you're losing after this year. You mentioned Marcus Tate, Jake Brenningstool, Phil Maffa, Tyler Venables, Peyton Page. I don't have the list in front of me, but I named
R.J. Mickens, Barrett Carter.
Yeah, Barrett Carter. These are guys that a lot of these guys are gonna miss a lot next year. So, but it's cool to see them. Just kind of get that opportunity of 100%. And it's always bittersweet. One thing that was kind of highlighted this week with Dabo was the what it means, what the house settlement and the scholarship cap means for the walk-ons on this team. So there's going to be like 30 seniors, like 30 plus guys running down that hill,
right?
Because they're going to have to cut those walk-ons because. Yeah, the scholarship limit goes to 105, but also the roster cap is also at 105, and Clemson has over 130 kids on the team in total, and 85 of them are scholarship guys. So I mean, you can do the math on how many you might have to cut. So Dabo was talking about it this week and kind of how frustrated he's been with that whole thing. So you're going to be seeing a lot of guys. Unfortunately leave the program. Probably, in some ways prematurely, probably sooner than they would like. So that kind of sheds a light on one of the downsides. And Clemson in particular is, they're going to get hit hard by that because, again, Dabo is all about the walk-ons. Clemson has one of the largest walk-on programs in the Power Four. So, they're, a lot of kids that have been a part of the program are going to have to go find somewhere else. Or, I mean, of course, you're cutting guys that are graduating, but some of them won't be able to take advantage of a graduate year or the ones that still have COVID eligibility that won't get to take advantage of that. So, that's one of the negatives. Especially if you're Dabo, he's a guy that, like I said, he cares a lot about the walk-ons. He was a former walk-on himself, so I'm sure it was pretty hard for him to have those conversations, making those cuts. But we'll get to see a lot of them run down the hill a lot more than usual, and not just the scholarship guys we mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It is unfortunate what the house settlement, with anything that. Anything new rule that comes out, there are always unintended consequences, and Dabo kind of highlighted the unintended consequence of the house settlement, and it's great that scholarships are going to 105. But the caveat to that is you can only have 105 people on your roster now. So that greatly, limits your roster. Can't have any walk-ons. Everybody on your roster's got to be under scholarship. So walk-ons are non-existent now. That walk-ons don't exist in the world of college football anymore. So that's an unfortunate thing. And you meant, I mean, they're probably cutting 30 to 40 guys at the end of this season of just guys that won't be able to return to the program. So it's unfortunate. But luckily for the seniors and those walk-ons that have been there running scout team for this Clemson team for many years, they will be honored as seniors. They will get to run down the hill. It's going to be a long day of watching seniors run down the hill before the actual team gets to run down the hill. But it'll be good for those guys to get their moment. Even though a lot of them never saw the field and were never going to see the field, doesn't mean they didn't contribute to this team. So shout out to them. Hopefully they get their moment, and that can be something that they can hold on to.
Yeah. It was my understanding that I don't think the walk-ons are completely going away. I think it just you can't have. I think you can only have 105 kids on your roster, period. And so all of them can be scholarship, and you can choose. Because Shane Beamer actually was talking about it too. He said, he was thinking about doing the model of having 85 scholarship and 20 walk-ons, or that sort of thing. So I don't believe the walk-on is getting eliminated, but their numbers are going to be greatly reduced, and the opportunities are like tenfold less for kids now that want to.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of college teams out there carry 130 people. So that's 30 people that you can't carry anymore.
Yeah. So I'm sure you're going to see some schools that completely just do away with walk-ons, but the ones that can, because I think one thing that people don't realize is like, hey, yeah, I mean, we think of scholarships as just this number, this quota that they have to meet, but scholarships cost real life money. Like it's very expensive for a single to put a single kid on scholarship. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so like I think some people kind of if you're not a part of that or you're not cognizant of it, it's hard to think about. But so I think you'll still see walk-ons because they help. You get kids on the roster to fill your practice and scout team without spending money. They're paying to be there. So I don't think I don't think you'll see a lot of schools just completely do away with walk-ons because most schools you don't have unlimited money to just give to kids. It still has to be within the budget and all of that. And it'll vary from school to school. But again, the 105 number is how many you can have on your roster. So that
from a competitive standpoint, most of the walk-ons aren't going to get opportunities.
Yeah, right. So you're going to see far less kids.
With the shrinking of your roster, you see teams now struggling, and we'll get into Clemson's injuries here in a moment. But with the shrinking of your roster, you're going to have to get a lot more selective with who you fill those, that number past 85 with, because it's going to have to be guys that can, truly contribute, on the field, right? You don't have a lot of spots where you can just, you can take walk-ons that are going to just be, a 4-year guy on the scout team, right? Like, I don't know if that's going to be realistic to do that anymore. And I know Clemson's done that in the past. They've had plenty of walk-on guys that they were never going to play. Right, they were going to be scout team guys for 4 years. They were going to contribute in that way, giving the defense and the first team offense the best look possible, and that was kind of it. But those opportunities, I think, are going to quickly become a thing of the past.
Yeah, and it's going to again for a coach like Dabo, like it's that's certainly a kind of a kick to the teeth, so to speak, because that's one of the things he's always been very prideful about is Clemson's walk-on program and the guys he's had and the opportunities he's given. Some most of them don't make it on scholarship, but the ones that do, it's always cool to see that too. So that's just kind of the reality of college football and the direction we're headed right now. So
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But shout out to the seniors. Shout out to Tyler Venables, R.J. Mickens, Barrett Carter, Peyton Page, Phil Moffa, Jake Brenningstool, and Marcus Tate. Those are the ones that I know for sure will be leaving after this season because they have no eligibility left. So they will be on their way. Most of them really big-time contributors for Clemson. Really all of them have been huge contributors for the Tigers. So shout out to them and getting their senior moment. It's going to be a pretty special day. And the Military Appreciation Day, the Purple Uni Day, it's going to be good. It's always fun to see Clemson do that. So real big day coming for the Valley this weekend. All right, Jordan, it's time to give our final thoughts. It's time to wrap up this Pitt game that we watched this past Saturday. Obviously, it was a kind of a tale of two halves, specifically for our offense. Passing offense in the first half was unstoppable. Cade was on it. We were moving the ball up and down the field. It looked really good in the first half offensively in the passing game. The running game, pretty much non-existent, not only in the first half, but the second half, all day. We could not run the ball. I think we were in single digits in rushing until Cade broke that 50-yard run at the end of the game to put us looking a little bit more respectable in the run category. Offense was just non-existent in the second half. We didn't run very many plays, and the plays that we did run didn't work at all. It was just a poor performance in the second half. There's really no other way to say it. Defensive line played well, 8 sacks, right? 4 by our board, TJ Parker. I think 16 tackles for loss on the day. So the defensive line, front 7 played pretty well. On the back end of the defense, lots of mistakes, lots of pass interference penalties. Penalties and mistakes overall were kind of crucial in various points in the game for Clemson. But again, we made enough plays to get the job done. Clemson wins the game 24-20. But again, on that back end of the defense, when you're allowing 350-yard passing to a backup quarterback, not your best day. And our best cornerback did not have his best day either. So as you've gone back, watched the game, had a little bit of time to digest it. Any other thoughts that you have that we didn't already cover in the post-game live video on this past Saturday's win against the Pitt Panthers?
No. We kind of hit on most of it. In the post-game show, I really think.
You there, Jordan?
With the offense, offensive line is okay. It lost me for a second.
You're back.
Okay. I'm due for one of these every show recently. It seems like I don't know why, but yeah, I think offensively, I think the run game was kind of a perfect storm of your offensive line is banged up and you have guys shuffled around, and your running back is also clearly not playing 100%. Dabo for guys that play, he's never going to really tell you if they're dealing with something or not. You kind of have to read between the lines, but Phil has clearly not been 100%. He's kind of been shy. He's shied away from contact at times. Not running as hard as he was earlier in the year. I definitely think it's he's not 100%. So, and then of course Pitt, did a lot to sell out to stop the run, and so and that's why it was so frustrating in that second half. When you only have 27 yards of offense, when Pitt is literally selling out to stop one thing, and they're allowing themselves to be so exposed on the back end, which you did in that first half. So that's one of the things that's been frustrating about this offense is when the defense is obviously giving you something, you're not getting it at the rate that you need to, as consistently as you need to. Like you should have made Pitt pay a lot more for how they played you in that second half than you did. Yeah, I mean, 27 yards of offense is until the final drive of the game is inexcusable in the second half. But they pulled it together. I mean, your quarterback made a fantastic drive, fantastic play to seal the game, and the defense came through. You mentioned, speaking of the defense, yeah, it wasn't a banner day. They certainly did enough to give you an opportunity to win the football game. I mean, that effort in that first half was basically flawless outside of the one drive, Pitt's second drive. So I don't have too many complaints. I think ultimately your corners, they got to be better in run support, and they have to be better. They had to be a lot better on. Just finishing tackles was kind of a frustrating thing at times. Given a lot of, and again, you mentioned Avion Terrell did not have his best game. That was true. Jalen Lucas did not have his a great day either. I mean, he logged a season low, I believe, in snaps, and Ashton Hampton outsnapped him for the first time this year. So. Maybe that's a sign of sort of a rotation change to come. I don't know. I mean, we've seen Jaden play better, but Ashton he's certainly earned more time. So I hope to see that continue. So beyond that, I mean, I think Barrett Carter. I talked about it. I thought he had as much as he had to play. I have to give him credit. He played a lot of snaps in this game. I believe over 80, probably like 80 snaps.
I think it was 90 something.
90. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pitt had the ball for a lot of the second half. So yeah, I mean, it probably that snap count was definitely up there. So I thought he played hard, and he had some tough assignments. I mean, he had to cover Desmond Reed out of the backfield a few times. That shoestring tackle that he made on that little seam route where he kind of leaked out, and Barrett was covering him in man coverage, and he got beat. But he made that shoestring tackle. That was good. There was nobody in between Desmond Reed and the end zone if he doesn't make that tackle. So got to give him a lot of credit there. I thought he battled. So I think on the rewatch, he definitely showed out a lot more. I think defensively, you just the consistency is still leaving a lot to be desired. And again, after the Virginia Tech performance, like I told, you and I both were like, we don't think this defense has turned the corner. I mean, it's great that they played well, but they were facing a Virginia Tech offense that was not 100% at all. And then you go up against a Pitt offense that's reeling with offensive line injuries and a backup quarterback. And, they had more success in that second half than they probably should have. That does not make me feel a whole lot better, for the matchup next week and any matchup against a capable team moving forward. But we'll see what they can do. They're certainly the more healthy side of the ball right now. So, maybe we see, sort of an improvement. But, at this point, you're 10 games in, at a certain point, you kind of are what you are. That's what I want to see them. It's hard to expect more from them at this point. Offensively, I felt like they left a lot on the bone, and especially in that second half, and that's where I think we need to see the most improvement from here to next week. They need to hit on those plays, those give me plays that the opposing defense is willing to give you because they're selling out to stop your run game.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and to Clemson's credit, it was not a banner day on offense. or defense, really. Both did a lot of good at certain points and times in the game, and both did really bad at certain points and times in the game. But at the end of the day, with the amount of adversity that they were dealing with guys going down with injury, guys playing out of position and positions that they hadn't played in a long time or hadn't played at all, you got to give them credit for weathering the storm and ultimately doing just enough to pull out a win. Because probably in years past, that's not a game that Clemson wins over the past probably 3 seasons, right? But they did figure out a way to win. And Cade Klubnik, the leader of your offense, pulls out an absolutely amazing play, a play that will be replayed for years to come. It'll be one of his legendary plays that people always talk about when they go back to talk about Cade Klubnik and his time at Clemson. That'll be one of the plays that they point to. And it was a great play call and executed even better. The blocking was great. He had one guy to kind of beat, and he absolutely beat him. That safety had no chance. And once he passed him, everybody knows Cade is a lot faster than he probably looks. And once he gets out into the open field, you're not going to catch him. So shout out to him for that amazing run. Love to see the spirit and just kind of how amped up he was after that run, kind of talking a little trash to the Pitt fans because I'm sure they were giving Clemson sideline the business.
He was pointing at his nameplate, and they were giving him hell.
I don't know if I've ever seen Cade Klubnik quite that amped up after a score, but it was fun to watch.
It kind of reminds me of him and Trevor were very similar in that way, where you never see them get that
right.
amped, like trash talking. You don't see it that. I remember the Miami game in the COVID year.
Yes.
I think Trevor ran in a touchdown and then spiked the football and started and got in a Miami defender's face and got an unsportsmanlike. Like that was uncharacteristic of him. So
but it was one you were okay with because that's outside his character, and clearly they were provoking him to do something because otherwise he wouldn't have acted that way.
Yeah. And Clemson was jawing as well. I mean, TJ Parker was talking about it. He was trash. He was trash talking the offensive tackle he was going up against. And, he was trying to be friends, and I wasn't having none of that. So it was a very chippy game for both teams. It was physical. They really got after it, and that was kind of the game. And Cade on that play, he wore his emotions on his sleeve.
That's right.
So that was cool.
Yeah, love to see it, man. It was a great play, and definitely one that'll go down in the books for one Cade Klubnik. That'll be one they point to when his career is done here. So